Hi, this is Janey Imaani and welcome to Emotional Awareness. So the first logical fallacy that we'll be looking at today is called the false dilemma or the false dichotomy. So that's when you believe you only have a limited number of options when in fact you have other choices but you haven't really looked at them, either because you're oblivious to them, you're unaware of them, or they're in your blind spot. Okay, so let's give an example. Say if you've convinced yourself that you have to get into that particular school, and if you don't, then you are a failure. Or another one would be, say, if you told yourself that you have to buy a house in that neighborhood, and if you don't, then that means that you're not successful. And so you've decided that you only have, two options or a limited number of options when actually there are many other possibilities, but you can't really see it. Okay, so we could take another example. Say if we took a newly married couple who've only been married for a year, say, Adam and Sarah, and they've been quite sort of unhappy post-marriage, even though it's only been a year. And so now Adam has told himself, okay, I only have two options. Either I have to divorce Sarah or I have to be unhappy for the rest of my life. And perhaps Sarah feels the same way as well. She thinks that she has to dissolve the marriage to Adam or she has to be miserable for the rest of her days. When in reality, there's probably many other options. Maybe if Adam figured out his anger issues, then the marriage wouldn't be so turbulent. Maybe if Sarah wasn't so overly compassionate, then she could create more of a balance for the marriage. And so, this was just a simple example. I don't want it to be taken out of context, but as you can see here, Adam and Sarah both jump to extremes when there's other possibilities in between that they haven't looked at. Perhaps they could get marriage counseling to sort out their issues or whatever it is. So when we oversimplify our range of options, we can end up limiting the direction that our life goes in. Okay, so the next logical fallacy that we'll be looking at today is called ad hominem. So you've probably heard of this one before, and that literally means to the man. So that's when somebody uses a personal attack as an argument instead of the validity of the actual argument. So that's when you go up to somebody and say, oh, you're lazy, you're slow, you need to get out of bed, you need to get to work on time, you're not going to make it unless you get your act together. So here you didn't just make a point, but you sort of personalized it and you insulted them. And when you do that, even if you're right, what happens is that when somebody's worth is threatened, their amygdala can go off, right, which is their fight and flight response. And when that goes off, they'll be so busy defending themselves that they wouldn't even be able to hear you. And so the likelihood that you'll be able to get your point across becomes quite low as well. Okay, so last one we're going to look at today is the anecdotal evidence. So that's when they can't hear what you're saying because they can only see your words through their personal lens or their personal opinion, their personal trauma, discomfort, or experience. So what they're going to do is apply their past experiences or whatever they believe to your situation without realizing how you could have a whole set of different circumstances, which means that obviously you would have a different outcome. So an example of that would be, say if you were talking to a friend and you were telling her that you want to try and be a stay-at-home mom. Now, she's already tried that and she had a horrible experience of it. And so now she is adamantly advising you not to do it because, it was really bad for her, and she's not even considering how you could have a whole different state of affairs that's very different to hers, which means that it's different for you, but she can't even see that. So in this series we looked at, I think it was a dozen logical fallacies, and there's hundreds more, and I really hope you look at them, because when we're in a conversation and you feel like you're not getting your point across, or the person has misheard you, it's good to be able to pinpoint where it went wrong so that you can maneuver around it or you can remove yourself from it. Okay, so let's do this in a nutshell. We want to be able to recognize when we or the other person that we're talking to is failing to use reason and be able to step away because we don't want to get caught up in other people's struggles, stories, shortcomings, or traumas. So ultimately, we all want to have sincere interactions with one another, and one of the best ways to do that is try and make our conversations as honest and as genuine as possible. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching the whole series. Hopefully you watched all of them, and make sure you tune in next Wednesday, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and take care. Bye.